Do you guys think that James Milner might be able to captain the England squad for the next World Cup?
No.
No.
Okay, never mind.
Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the Studs Up podcast with me, Ryan Oldham, and I'm joined today with Garrett Love and Muhamed Hodzic. Garrett, did I say your name right, Muhamed?
Yeah, that's pronounced Garrett Love. No, absolutely.
No, I didn't. I'm gonna cut all this out. I'll keep that first bit. But did I say your last name right?
No, say what I just said. Put that in there.
To make sure you get the accent marked by Love.
Yeah. The umlaut over
is it on the E? Perfect.
Oh God.
All right.
Garrett, how about you introduce yourself a little bit?
All right. I'm Garrett Love, born and raised St. Louis, Missouri. City till I die. Let's go, Studs Up. I'm all in.
Love it.
Golly.
Muhamed, what do you think?
My name is Muhamed Hodzic, or Hodzic, or Muhamed, how Ryan calls me. Chelsea fan since Roman Abramovich came in and bought out everybody and brought in really good players. Before then, I never even heard of the team.
Who had though? Let's be honest.
Right. No one.
I became a City fan when they signed Sergio Aguero because I liked him. So that's when I started liking City.
Is that really true?
Really?
Yeah, that's actually true.
That's amazing.
That's how I decided on City.
You're gonna get
That seems
so
like yesterday.
much shit.
Oh my God. I feel the trolls just waking up after that comment.
After the episode 0.1 last week, we got 2 emails, standard emails. One, I'll read them out shortly, but I think once this goes live, I think we'll probably get at least 10 about that comment.
Okay, wait.
I'm excited.
That was supposed to be off the record. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. I'll make sure to cut it out of the edit. So I'm going to start off with the emails, by the way, because I remember last week we had spoken about Man City and where Mahrez would fit into the side. So
Yeah.
we got an email from Dave, Big Dave, who says, "Hi Ryan and the team, I just listened to the first podcast and really enjoyed it, and I have a few points to raise on some of the topics you covered. As a Manchester City fan, I'll start with the Mahrez signing and where Pep will use him. As a vegan, I see him predominantly being used on the wing, but he could possibly play him through the middle on the odd occasion if required due to injury or suspension, just as he has done with Sterling over the past 2 years. I then see this having an effect on Bernardo Silva's role, who I believe is our long-term successor to David Silva. Both players are very similar. Both small, left-footed, and can pick out a pass." And then
Both names Silva.
I would agree with that.
yeah, he goes on to talk
agree with
about Everton, because we touched on that as well. Secondly, I wanted to touch on Everton's business in the transfer market. Last summer,
Richarlison.
I felt Everton were making the same mistakes Man City made when they were bought and had lots of money to spend, paying over the odds for semi-decent players such as 45 million for Sigurdsson and 25 million for Michael Keane. I don't know if I agree with the Michael Keane one. I think 25 million is probably pretty good business for him.
Yeah, that's fair.
Especially around the time when they signed it, but I agree with the Sigurdsson. That's a lot of money. It seems like they haven't learnt from their mistakes, and now they're paying 50 million for a player that Watford signed for 11 million 12 months ago and only managed 5 goals in 38 games. With more very expensive signings to come, I honestly believe Marco Silva will be sacked by Christmas if Everton aren't in the top half of the table. It's probably right.
No,
But-
yeah.
I
We talked
absolutely
about
agree.
that last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they will be in the top half of the table, though, but whether they'll be higher than 8th or 9th, that's
I don't
a
know.
different story.
I don't know.
I
I mean,
just-
I could see them being, 7th or 8th, but if they're not 7th or 8th, then I think they're going to be, 15th, 16th.
Yeah, they could be, definitely. I mean, like we touched on Marco Silva last week and how he can definitely be volatile, depending on who wants him to. But I mean, if he's not playing the good football, nobody's going to want him to.
He's either going to be fantastic or he's going to be sacked within like 3 months.
Yeah, it's going to go either way. I think that's what we said last week. There's no middle ground.
No.
And going back to the Mahrez part, like we talked about though last week, because if he's filling in, if Sterling doesn't play, then that's $75 million for a bench player, as long as Sterling's healthy. So that's where I don't get it. I do agree with the Bernardo Silva part though. I think he needs to be shifted more towards the central midfield rather than right wing. I just don't know how they're going to work Mahrez and Sterling together.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, definitely.
One of them is going to begin, obviously, rotation. It's going to be Mahrez.
Well, yeah.
He's going to begin with on the bench, and we'll see what happens. But Everton's very interesting with their transfers, especially what you guys made about the
Richarlison.
I didn't know he came last year for only 11 million or 12 million pounds.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean, I think he's a project, and I think he has potential, but for 50 million right now, I don't know.
Finally, I think Liverpool paying 67 million for Alisson is an absolute joke. It's twice the amount Man City paid for Ederson last summer, which was a world record fee for a goalkeeper, and this guy has had one season of top-flight football as Roma's number one, after being signed for around 8 million 2 years ago. Also, let's not forget this is the same keeper that Liverpool put 7 goals past across the 2 legs of last season's Champions League final. Final?
Ooh.
Not final.
Semi-final.
Yeah, it says final. Come on, Dave. Granted, some of the Roma defending in those 2 games is very poor, but then you expect your keeper to make a few saves to keep you in the game. If Liverpool go on to win the Premier League next season and he plays a major part in it, then I'll hold my hands up and say he was worth every penny, but I can't see that happening. For me, Liverpool is the club that just keeps on giving us something to laugh at. Keep up the good work, Dave. Thanks, Dave. So, yeah, I think I agree with everything that Dave says in that one, to be honest.
Yeah,
we got
for the most part.
Yeah.
Besides the last part, obviously.
Fair enough, and we'll get
We'll see.
We'll get into that shortly as well. We got a second email from Tay that says, "How would you grade on an A to F scale Jose Mourinho's performance as manager since Sir Alex's departure?" So we've had 2 managers since then, actually, but Jose, Ryan, and then he says, "Ryan, you're allowed your biases. Love the show, keep it up." Well, I'm going to let you 2 go first because I do obviously have a bias, quite a big one, and I was thinking about this question all day, so I have an answer, but I'm going to let you guys go first. So, Mohamed, I suppose, because obviously as a Chelsea fan, you have had experience with Mourinho in the past, so...
I feel that before we even talk about Mourinho, we need to talk about the greatest manager since Alex Ferguson, Moisey, David Moyes.
That's where you went with that.
Which I think Moyes is a big part of the problem that United find themselves in now. But go on.
Well, you could go into detail regarding United's manager issue / any issue that they have because you probably know a lot more than I do. Mourinho is one of those coaches where it's the total control or nothing. And I don't know the situation at Man United, so I don't know if he has full control. But I know when he was at Chelsea, the most recent time that he requested and complete control over the team. He was able to do whatever he wanted. That was the only thing that literally brought him over to Chelsea.
Okay.
And now, what might have been an issue with, especially with Madrid, maybe even Inter, and maybe now with United, I don't think he has that group that he succeeded really well with Chelsea. The reason why, he will always, even after the most recent episode at Chelsea, he's still going to remain a legend. It's because when you think of Jose Mourinho, right next to him, you automatically think of Didier Drogba, John Terry, Frank Lampard, Peter Cech. Yeah. The old guard surrounding him, literally not allowing anything bad to ever happen or even be said, because that was like a collective thing.
Yeah.
So maybe he doesn't have what he's used to, such as an old guard around him, because that's something a lot of managers struggled at Chelsea with, is because they never had the backing of John Terry, Frank Lampard, Peter Cech, and Didier Drogba, and that was what Jose Mourinho had. But with United, maybe it's down to the status of Man United after Sir Alex left.
Yep.
Sir Alex Ferguson, we all saw the memes. We all know how it is. Sir Alex Ferguson won his Premier League with just a few, maybe one or two decent players.
Luke Chadwick.
Yeah.
But he has one more than Gerrard, so.
Yeah, I mean, he has literally won the league with just most random players and some not even decent players, because he's Sir Alex Ferguson. And that's the thing that no one will ever live up to. I'm not going to say no one will ever live up to. It's no one has lived up to, and they are forced to be in that shadow. Unlike anyone in England right now does not have that kind of emotional backing or any kind of like thing that they have to do. Even with Arsene Wenger when he left Arsenal, you don't have that creeping shadow like the next manager had for United. It's Arsene Wenger. Everyone was super happy he left.
Yeah.
So anything will do. But Sir Alex Ferguson left on the tippity of the top, being on the top, being known as the greatest manager on earth, and replicate that to United fans. United fans want another Sir Alex Ferguson, and they will never get another Sir Alex Ferguson. No one will ever get another Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
So it might also be psychological, emotional issue going on there.
So if you could give a grade for his time at United between A and F, what would you say it would be?
A and F?
Between A and F.
Like a grade.
Well, first of all, Garrett, I cheated my way through college.
I know you did. It was mostly off me.
But I'd give him an A for being Jose Mourinho and doing Jose Mourinho-like things. I'd give him a solid C, especially due to his performance in the Champions League. And all in all, he had decent players. He did. Sir Alex Ferguson, even Jose Mourinho did a lot worse and a lot better. I mean, at Chelsea with worse or better players. So I mean, he has the capability. The team is there. There's decent players. No one's complete crap.
Yep.
There's a good player in every position. You can't say that one guy is just completely terrible and everyone else is succeeding around him. They're all decent players. He could do a lot better, especially in the Champions League.
Yep.
And in the league, obviously, there's no reason you need to be losing to certain teams with decent players.
So a C.
I give him a C.
All right. And Garrett, what do you think?
I was actually going to say a C as well. That could be a bias because I'm a City fan. But I think with, Jose being Jose, and it's Manchester United, you guys have certain things expected of you every year. And like Muhammad said, you don't have a crap team. Like, you have a pretty good team. There might be a few guys who need to be rotated out eventually, but I don't think anybody's like glaringly obvious that they need to be removed from the team right now. Yeah. But I don't think Jose's delivered where they necessarily should have in some respects. But, I think that I'm also very biased the opposite way because I'm a City fan. So, yeah. But I would say a C as well.
Okay. So I was thinking about this all day, like I said before, and because Jose has been in the news again. Already, I think there've been 3 preseason games. Yesterday they lost to Liverpool 4-1. But United beat Barcelona and Real Madrid convincingly in David Moyes' preseason, and look at what happened there. So I really don't think preseason means anything, and I think a lot of people are putting too much weight on preseason, especially with De Gea not there, Lindelof not there, Bailly's playing injured, Jones, Rojo, Smalling, Young, Valencia, Shaw, Dalot, Pogba, Lingard, Fellaini, Matic, Lukaku, Martial, Rashford. None of those players are there, and you can make more than a starting 11. You can make a full 16 with that team that aren't there. So losing 4-1 to Liverpool and then people jumping on Mourinho's back and saying, oh, it's third season syndrome, is, I think it's kind of a cop-out, especially by the media. I think that he deserves a lower B because we won the EFL Cup in 2017, won the Europa League also in 2017, and finished second in the league last year behind a Manchester City team that nobody would have ever beaten, ever. There was no way, even Arsenal's Invincibles wouldn't have won the league if they were in this season. So I think that you have to give him a B. Obviously, an A is desirable when you think that a team like Manchester United should be winning the Premier League year in, year out, but things change when Pep Guardiola is in the league now. It's not the same as it was before, when it was just Ferguson, Wenger, and Mourinho, and they kind of battled it out.
Yeah.
There's at least 6 or 7 teams now that are going to be rotating around that top 6, top 7. So, in terms of all of that, I think you have to give him a B, but a low B, because for all intents and purposes, he's getting the job done, finishing second in the league, winning a European Cup, but he's also playing pretty bad soccer on the pitch, and it's not exactly thrilling to watch. I think this season was the first season as a Manchester United fan where I've woken up for a game in the morning around 6 or 7 a.m. and just scrolled through Twitter for the entire game. Just because it's not good soccer to watch. And there's been some games where I've been glued to the edge of my seat and we've played amazing. So I know that the team's capable of it, and I know that the coaches are capable of training the team to play that way. So it's amazing to me that they've not been able to. There's some signs last season that, obviously Manchester City had the record-breaking season, but Manchester United could have done a lot better than finish as far behind them as they did. They lost games to teams that were nothing. And, just because we saw time and time again that Mourinho went out with this negative attitude and then conceded a goal in the 75th minute or later, and then finally that was the first time that they actually tried to score, and sometimes they did and sometimes they didn't. They lost the game. So I think that needs to change, definitely, if United are going to try for the title this year. But I think without 2 or 3 players to add, I think they're going to be way far off again. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to be finishing the top 4, but that's all that seems to matter to the board right now. And it doesn't seem like Mourinho and the board are seeing eye to eye. So that could spell trouble in the future. Mm-hmm. Because it did at Chelsea and as it did at Real Madrid, I believe, as well.
Yeah. I'm going to ask 2 questions if I can. First question.
Just one at a time.
Oh. Well, that was the plan. That was actually the plan.
Oh, great. Okay.
Thanks, bro.
All right.
First question. Is it possible to even have a long-term successor anymore in soccer?
I don't think so. I think
I don't think so either.
I don't think that's what. I think realistically, Manchester United fans need to realise that that's not going to happen. I'm sure there's some fans that will romanticize Michael Carrick taking over now that he's on the coaching team, or Kieran McKenna, who was the under-18s manager and now he's the assistant manager.
Giggsy.
That's for another podcast. We could do a full hour on that. I think fans kind of like to romanticize that because that's what they're used to with Fergie being there for so long. But it doesn't seem like that's the way that soccer is going. Is that's not how it works anymore.
Yeah.
is the longest serving manager. One of the longest serving managers in the league right now is Pochettino, isn't it? And he's not been at Tottenham for that long. I think if the only I can see that happening, but I can't see it happening at the top level again. I can see it happening for teams like Bournemouth. I mean, Eddie Howe could be there for years and years. He loves it there. They love him. Mm-hmm. But I just can't see it at the top level because, Fergie even had years where they didn't win anything and the board stuck by him. But now, this year, Mourinho doesn't win a trophy. He's going to get sacked because the dynamics of the sport have completely changed when Fergie retired. So no, I don't think you'll see it at the top level. I don't think you'll see that longevity ever again.
Absolutely. I feel every big team would love to see a manager stay there for 10, 15 years.
Yep.
Everyone would love that. Chelsea fans, we thought that Jose Mourinho's second coming. That was it. We won the league. We won the Champions League. We won the FA Cup. We win the English Cup. We win every cup every year, nonstop for 10, 15 years because we have Jose Mourinho. But he didn't. Again, there's an issue with the board. He gets sacked. That's going to happen with every manager. It's Pep Guardiola. As soon as he maybe wins a Champions League or gets close to a Champions League with City, he's going to obviously leave and probably go coach. I don't know a French side at PSG.
Yeah, he's not that type of coach. He's already he's proven that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's going to go.
Coach. He wants to.
He's not a project coach. He's a coach that comes into a very good side already and makes them just better.
Yeah,
I would love.
That's a project.
A project is him going to Everton and bringing him into the Champions League.
Okay, but not. He's a top tier coach. He's not going to do that. He's going to go to a good team that hasn't won some things that they want to win, and he's going to try to bring them to where they want to be.
And that have plenty of money to.
Well, right, yeah, absolutely.
So then, would you say that Big Sam is a project coach?
Yeah,
I think. I think if I had a choice between any manager in the world, it would be Big Sam.
I love it. Yeah, amazing.
Southgate.
All right.
Capello.
Yeah. Great discussion. Thank you for your question, Tay. Hope that we answered it. And now we're going to move on to what we teased last week with Muhamed saying that he really wanted to talk about Liverpool's transfer policy.
Yes.
So I want you to have your say. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Okay, perfect. Liverpool. Everyone is making a big mockery over, especially the comments that Klopp made in the past few weeks.
Yep.
And I'd love for you to run that down here in a bit and get your part over that because I know you were really into it with the 0.0 podcast.
This very specific quote that I can read out before you continue. Other clubs can go out and spend more money and collect top players. I want to do it differently. I would even do it differently if I could spend that money. Jurgen Klopp.
I want a date, and I want to see who the journalist was that wrote that before I even think about saying that's true.
All right.
But okay, Liverpool. Everyone's saying how they're overspending and how they're spending money on players that aren't worth that money. I only have really two big things I want to say. First thing is that they bought two players with for a decent amount of money. They didn't go out and buy 6 new players, all paying 45, 50 million, 30 million a piece for them. They brought in Fabinho and Alisson. They brought in Shaqiri, but he was a 17 million. He's a 17 million, maybe 20 million pound. I don't know. Signing from Stoke, and he's a solid player. That was a bargain in my opinion. I think you guys might share that opinion. That he was absolute bargain for $17 million.
Well, yeah, and especially when it comes from a team that got relegated, there's not a lot you can do.
Well, yeah.
For Shaqiri, £13 million was the price. Yeah, there's not a lot you can do when you're Stoke and you have a player that's that good that isn't going to want to play in the Championship. So yeah.
Well, obviously.
They've also signed Naby Keita from Leipzig.
He was signed 2 years ago, not this transfer window. That was planned out 2 years ago. True. It's not something that's gonna affect Liverpool financially whatsoever now. It's been planned out 2 years ago. If every single team had a 2 year window cushion to plan out and buy players, there would never be any financial problems. So he doesn't count. I don't even count him as a transfer this year.
Okay.
Shaqiri, fantastic transfer. Fabinho, fantastic transfer. And the best transfer of all of them is Alisson. Top notch.
So why do you think he justifies £67 million transfer fee? Before when we had Dave's email that he let in 7 goals against Liverpool last year and only really had one season. Obviously, they've paid that much money because of Karius's mistakes that he made in the Champions League and in the preseason, and everybody saw them, so they're always going to have to pay top dollar for these players. But do you think that 67 million is worth it for Alisson when they probably could have got Schmeichel for 40, maybe?
Well, it's all about the situation that the club's in and the market's in. So you're right. The club is in a situation where they have to spend more money on Alisson or more money than any other keeper or any player at all, just because of the situation they were in. Alisson, if they didn't get him, they had the options of getting Schmeichel. Who else?
I suppose I don't know if they had the option of getting Schmeichel. I'm just kind of throwing that out there as a potential other goalkeeper that they could have got.
I'm not saying who are they possibly able to get. I'm just saying just goalies out there that they could purchase or even be interested in. John Oblak has £100 million something pound
release
has
clause.
£100 million pound release clause, and he's not leaving Atletico.
Donnarumma maybe.
Donnarumma.
Although didn't he just sign a new 5-year? So
he signed a new deal. And if they bought him, for even 35-40 million, I would be completely against Liverpool's transfer policy, because that kid, I've watched Milan games just to see him play. He is absolutely decent.
So what? Are you saying that as a bad thing?
No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. He's absolutely decent, and he has time to grow. And he's only 19 years old?
Something like that, yeah.
Child. So he's 19. I would never in my life purchase a goalkeeper that is 19 years old. Courtois is the only exception I've seen in such a long time where he came in and absolutely did fantastic at age 20, 21, 22 years old. Like, absolutely fantastic. Usually goalkeepers are mature and become in their prime not at 19 and 20, but at like 25, 26, 27.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why Alisson is perfect age.
Yeah, De Gea was 20 when he signed for United. And
how was his first season?
First 2 years were not that great.
Yeah. The only person I've ever seen that it was the exception to that rule was Courtois when he got signed over from Genk, I think the team was, and was brought over in Chelsea youth, taken over to Atletico, loaned out for 2 or 3 years, and he absolutely destroyed it. That was the only time I've seen it in a very long, ever.
Yeah.
Alisson, if they didn't get him, they would have been able to go look for Schmeichel or Oblak or any other players. But the availability of goalkeepers right now that are able to be purchased, that would even be interested into leaving, because goalkeepers, you guys know soccer. They're not a player that leaves every year, every 2 years, every 3 years.
Sure, yeah.
Usually when you lock in a keeper, you lock them in for 5-6 years, usually, or to their full extent of their contract, at least. Just because they don't tend to go around hopping over. Courtois just finally is possibly interested in going to a different team after 3-4 years of unbelievable performances. They purchased Alisson because they were in a crisis for goalkeeper. It is a crisis in the market with prices, so they have to overpay because everyone is being overpaid. And 3, you can't. The options there aren't like the options of buying a winger. You could buy if Shaqiri didn't work out as a winger or a central midfielder, you could find 1,000 of them. You could overpay, underpay. You could buy a child from Germany and bring him in as a youth player. You could buy a decent player like Andre Schürrle that just went to Fulham, that's experienced and it's going to be a good backup. You could buy a top-notch £70 million winger from France. You could do the options are there. But with goalkeepers, you're either going to buy a child like Donnarumma, you're going to buy Alisson, who's a solid goalkeeper, or you're going to buy someone that's 120 million like Oblak from Atletico. The options are there. Alisson was the best option you could buy because buying Oblak for 110 million pounds, that would have been ridiculous. And buying a 19-year-old goalkeeper to lead Liverpool's, push for the title, because this is going to be this is going to be a solid push for the title. It's going to be a solid push maybe to get into quarterfinals, Champions League. It's going to be, not going to say it's going to be their year, but it's going to be their year to try. It's going to be their year to try really hard.
If that's not a great quote for Liverpool over the last 25 years, I don't know what is. So they kind of have to, though. They have to go for it. If they don't win anything this year, I don't care what anybody says about them getting to the Champions League final. They walked away empty-handed. So
yeah,
it does. United went out in the second round, and City went out later, and Liverpool went out in the final. It doesn't matter. Every single English team that we support didn't come away with a trophy. So I don't like the excuse that it's he's doing well, he's getting to finals. You have to win the trophies, especially now with 2. They have the most expensive goalkeeper in the world and the most expensive defender in the world. So they have to go out there and prove that they can defend and win trophies next season, because pressure is going to be heavily on them, and it's going to be for the first time in a long time. I think the pressure is going to be on them because they've always kind of flown under the radar with teams like City and United kind of taking up all of the media column inches because they're supposedly the bigger sides. But now, with that amount of money spent, they're going to have to go for it. And if they don't win, I think Klopp will be sacked at the end of the season if they don't have a trophy to show for it.
I'm okay with the money they spent. Aside from Shaqiri, I don't like the Shaqiri signing a lot. They got a good deal for him, but I mean, I'm not sure where he's going to fit into their team right now. But I think, with the level the Premier League's been at the past, I guess last year it was really good. I think you got to spend money to be a good team and to actually try for the title. And the way the market is right now, they spent money on the players they needed. And Alisson, I really like the signing. I think they paid a little too much for him, but I really like that signing for them. Fabinho and Keita, I like a lot. Shaqiri, he's okay to me. I don't think there's anything special about him. He didn't have an amazing year at Stoke, and he was arguably he was the best player, and he didn't have a fantastic year. But I think, if they legitimately want a challenge for the title, they had to spend that money. So I'm okay with it, even though Klopp said what he said. I'm okay with the money they spent because I think that's just what they had to do to, really challenge it.
Fair enough. Well, it sounds like it's 2-1 on that opinion, so I'll back down on that. And I still believe that Klopp has been quite hypocritical in terms of the money spent. I don't mind the signing itself. The Alisson signing itself was necessary. Karius didn't do anything in the preseason to show that he had recovered mentally from his huge mistake in the Champions League final. So you have to sign a keeper. I get it. It's just the quotes that come back and haunt Klopp is what annoys me about it, because if it was if it was the other way around, it would be all over the news if it was Mourinho that had said that about Liverpool, and then Manchester United sign somebody for 100 million this window. It would be on ESPN FC for that would
3
be the lead
years.
story. That would be the lead story for a week. So you have to give them the negative press that they deserve when they do stuff like that. Not that it's a bad signing; it's a good signing. But now, like I said earlier, they have to prove that they can win trophies this year, or I don't
agree.
think it's. I think it's over for Klopp at Liverpool.
It's over for Klopp at Liverpool because of that comment.
No, because if the board,
If they don't win,
yeah, if the board are trusting Klopp to bring in these players, and he's spent 167 million pounds this window, and they don't win a trophy,
yeah.
then he has to answer to the board. Why aren't you able to win a trophy with the players that we've spent this money on for you?
We also don't understand the current status of the relationship between board versus manager. We know how to like sit there and assume or guess or with rumors like with Mourinho.
Very true.
But we don't know what was the status. Let's say that comment was made 2 years ago. And in 2 years ago, the board said, "All right, Klopp, you got 50 million, work with it." And now, 2 years later, transfer window is about to open up. He requests X amount of money. They say, "No problem. Here's 200 million. You better win the league, or you better win something."
Yep.
And now he has this chunk of change. And what are you going to do? You're going to save your job. You're going to buy the players you need to buy, and you're going to sit there and bite the bullet and get all the backlash from that comment you made 2 years ago. It's just typical business.
Yep. And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand about the board at teams. And I'm sure, and I'm not going to say that I'm, at a high level of understanding of board and manager relationships, but when it's a business now, and it has been for a long time. It's not like it was in the 90s where teams were desperate to win the league and managers would get sacked if they didn't. It's all about finishing in the top four now and qualifying for the Champions League, because the amount of money that they get from the TV companies is astronomical, and whether you finish first or fourth, you're still getting a massive share of that. So a lot of the time, these board members are just happy to finish in that top four. They don't care about winning the league. They're not as passionate about the sport itself as we are as fans. They are businessmen first. And some of them probably don't even care about the sport. They're there to make money. And if they finish in the top four, you're going to make a lot of money. So that's probably why we're seeing Mourinho right now publicly, have a spat with the board because they're not signing the players, because they think, well, we've spent this much money over the past 3 years for you, and look what you've done with it. Now you need to work with what we've bought, or it's over.
And I think that's fair too, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's a typical Arsenal situation where their board, their owners could not care less about football.
Yeah.
They only care about their profit. So buy your 20-year-old for $2.50 USD, and sell them for about 30 million to your rivals, because who cares if they're your rivals, and who cares if they're going to use them to win the league?
Yeah.
As long as you make money and everything's cool, perfect. Get top four, get the TV deals, get the NBC sports broadcasting money, get all of the Champions League money, and then we're happy as long as you hit the quota. And it's the most opposite thing that I think anyone that watches soccer is used to, where I feel like none of us, anyone, even the most experienced journalists that just live, breathe, die soccer, can still get their heads wrapped around the fact that a team like Arsenal, fourth every year, makes, I don't know, $1 billion in revenue that year, and then turn around and go, Arsene Wenger, here's 50 million this transfer, do something with it, just get fourth.
Yep.
That still blows my mind, because I feel like from any team, from the janitor to the owner, it's like die hard, live, breathe team.
Yeah.
That's how I think that's the general idea that we all, the majority of people just have. That it's soccer. It's the most diehard sport. Everyone goes crazy for it. Everyone's a fanatic. Everyone's into it, from the janitor to the owner. But it's not really like that, and you see it with Arsenal every year. And maybe not. Maybe this year's different, but who knows?
Okay, so we're gonna do the quiz now, which is gonna be a weekly thing. We're gonna have 2 rounds each week. The first round's going to be basically the fastest person to answer the question gets the point. I'm going to do 6 questions, and whoever answers the question first correctly gets the point. At the end, whoever has the most points gets 1-0, if you understand what I mean.
Yes.
I'll be up 1-0 when I beat Muhammad at this, yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Round 2 is going to be a little different, but it's going to be basically naming a team of players from the last probably 10 or so years of the Premier League, and you basically have to go in turns trying to name as many players as you can on that team. Whoever names the most without getting one wrong is the winner, and that's another point. So potentially it could be 2-0 at the end of the quiz, 1-1, or 0-2, if you understand what I mean.
Cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Alright, so round 1, question 1. Manchester United's Axel Tuanzebe broke a Guinness World Record this week playing what children's game?
Playing a children's game?
I have
Hopscotch.
no fucking
Hopscotch.
idea.
It's hopscotch.
It's Hungry Hungry Hippos.
Oh, I did see that actually. Damn it.
Yep.
Yeah, you're an idiot.
Okay, we saw the first ever World Cup final own goal. Who scored it?
Fernandinho. No, not Fernandinho. Damn it.
World Cup own goal.
World Cup final own goal.
Oh. Was it a goalkeeper?
Nope.
Subotic?
Nope.
No, it was Vida. No, it was.
Are you just gonna go through the whole team?
It was all of them.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Let me.
I don't.
It
remember.
was. It was Perisic.
No.
Perisic.
All right, we're gonna go to question 3. Olivia, and this great start.
Shit.
So
Yeah.
this is gonna be the closest number. Olivier Giroud didn't hit a shot on target at the 2018 World Cup. How many minutes did he play?
734.
Garrett?
829.
It was 546.
Son of a!
But Mohamed is closest, so he gets the point.
God, I'm only 250 off.
Harry Kane won the World Cup Golden Ball, but who finished officially second?
Mbappe.
No.
Harry Kane. Can you repeat the question, please?
Harry Kane won the World Cup Golden Ball. He had 6 goals. But who finished second officially according to FIFA's website?
Harry Kane.
What?
Fuck, I don't know. Give me 2.
Maybe next week I'll give you 2 options and you have to pick one.
Yeah, no, that's you're fucking blowing this right now.
Is it? Wasn't there
blowing it.
there was like 5? Wasn't there like 5
No, we
players
are.
there was like 5 players
Yes.
that had like 4 goals?
There was.
I don't
but
know.
Officially, according to the FIFA website, one of them finished
Antoine
second.
Griezmann.
Ding, 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 ding. Which
Child.
Australian legend retired from international soccer last week?
Tim Cahill.
Yes. And
That's the
final
only
question.
Australian.
Okay, so it's 2-1 to Mohamed right now. And the
So
final
be-
question. How many followers does Cristiano Ronaldo have on Instagram? Again, you're going to have to...
136 million.
The closest to the number, right?
Correct.
I'm gonna guess on Instagram
Yes.
129 million.
Garrett was correct. He was 1 million away.
What did he say?
It's 137 million. Garrett said 136 million.
I
followers.
I looked it up not that long ago because I was curious, and so I just knew.
Fair enough. So the quiz ended with a tie. which is great.
Draw.
So maybe,
Oh.
so I'll do 7 questions next time. We'll work out the kinks as we go. It's fine. So it's 0-0 still, but we do have a second round. So the deal with this one is, you need to name every player, and you're going to go in turns, in the Premier League 2017-2018 team of the season.
Oh, God.
So Garrett's going to go first because you got the Cristiano Ronaldo question right.
Okay.
And you have to name one of the players. Then Muhammad goes. If you get 2 wrong in a row, then you're out.
Okay. Do I have to go by position, or can I just start rattling them off?
You can just start rattling them off. But you go 1, Muhammad goes 1.
Yeah. Okay, De Gea.
Yes, Muhammad.
Wait. Okay. Do I say De Gea again?
Jesus. No, you don't
What?
say De Gea.
Why would you say De Gea?
You said De Gea.
You're
No,
going to
you
name
pick
a
someone
player
else.
that Garrett hasn't named.
Oh,
In the
okay.
season.
Easy.
Yeah.
Kyle Walker.
Correct.
Cesar Azpilicueta.
Incorrect.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Harry Kane.
Correct.
Oh,
Oh,
Kevin De Bruyne. I'll take an easy one then.
Correct.
Mohamed Salah.
Correct.
David Silva.
Correct.
Was Otamendi already said?
No,
No.
but correct.
What's up?
Toby Alderweireld.
Incorrect.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Vertonghen. Vertonghen? What's his name?
Correct. Vertonghen.
Wow.
Correct.
Vertonghen, yeah.
Pressure.
Okay. Oh man. I'm gonna say. Oh boy. Oh, is Sadio Mane in there?
Incorrect.
Ah!
So Muhammad
Trash.
wins it. Muhammad wins week 1. So you go 1-0 up in the quiz.
1-0. Get at me, son.
It goes David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Eriksen,
Oh.
Aguero, Kane, Salah, Walker, Vertonghen, Otamendi, Alonso, De Gea.
Alonso.
Yeah.
I'm disgusted.
So next week we'll do another team, whether that's, for example, I could do Manchester United versus Manchester City derby and you have to name the players, or we'll do another team of the season. I haven't decided yet. But that means Mohammed's 1-0 up. Okay, so that's it for week 1 of the Studs Up podcast. I've been Ryan Oldham and I've been joined by Garrett Love and Mohamed Hodzic, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys.
Goodbye.